Hello, everybody. We are now live. I am sorry to all of you who've been waiting for a few minutes. I have been talking to myself for about 3 minutes now, and no one's been listening because I forgot to click the go live button. So apologies for all that. Um, Let me just kind of reiterate what I was saying before. Yeah, so welcome. We're going to be going through the previs for the Scene 3, the Battle of the Bounty Hunters with IG-88 and Boba Fett. And in this scene, today I'm going to be focusing on IG-88 scenes. Let me share my screen here, and you can see on my Patreon here, you can actually see I have a previs with a lot of the Boba Fett scenes, but here's a shot right there, IG-88. He is still just the comic book. As you can see here, there is the comics for this scene. This is from issue 1 of Shadows of the Empire, and you can see we have some interiors with IG-88, and then these also show up here in the Battle of the Bounty Hunters. This is the pop-up comic, which is identical to the Shadows of the Empire comic scene, and then it shows up once more in the Galoob comic. Yeah, right here on the second page. Just a little brief battle between IG-88 and Boba Fett before it moves on to the next thing. Yeah, so some of these comic panels are still in the previs that is available on Patreon. Now, like I said before, if you want to watch the whole thing, just become a member and you can find it there. And yeah, and so here we're going to be working in Blender. Here is just, I kind of just set this up for the thumbnail, but this ship is obviously not a Star Wars-y ship, but the cockpit looks good enough. Then there's the IG-2000 over here, and of course IG-88. A few things I want to get accomplished tonight is IG-88 here. He is not fully rigged, actually. I bought him on Sketchfab, and the model wasn't rigged at all. For the trailer, I did some preliminary rigging, like you can see here. I rigged it so that you could. Let me actually change that back to 50, so that you could actually rotate, his eyes and all that kind of stuff, and his arms. I added some motion to. Whoops, wrong plane. Yep, like this. But I cannot rotate anything below his kind of shoulder joint. And as you can see here, his legs and body and even the gun on his back are all in one piece. So I want to break that up and kind of rig it so that I can actually animate some of these scenes. And then this I need to add textures to and some more materialing detail. Here, let's see here. Yep, right here on Sketchfab. As you can see, this is the model that I downloaded. It's identical to this one right here. And I'm not going to use the outside at all. I don't really, it's even got, well, I guess technically the numbers could be Arabic, but yeah, it's got English numbers and letters there. But on the inside here, you can see, once we get through the glass, that there is a nice looking chair there with just a little bit of background with some detail in it. I think most of that detail is just in the normal map. But so like there's not really a whole lot of color texture here or depth. As you can see, it's very just flat when you look at it. But if I put it out of focus and light it right and just focus on the shots that I need with IG-88, then yeah, it's not really going to need to be much more detailed than it already is. I'm not even going to be showing like all this stuff in front here. I mean, it's got some nice monitors, I guess. I might use those monitors for something else later if I need to just put something empty on a monitor in the background or something. But so I'm going to be taking all the textures that came with this and applying them to this model here. And then here, this is my Premiere Pro timeline for the project. So this is Battle of the Bounty Hunters right here. And you can see on the very bottom here are shots that are exteriors or graphics. It's going to be pretty slow because I have a lot of stuff in this Premiere project, and live streaming kind of slows it down. So we'll see if it loads. There we go. So yeah, here's an exterior of the planet here. But you can see I already have all of these shots with Boba Fett on the interior, every single one. And then I have a few shots here on the second row that are marked with just the comic. You can see on the third layer here, do not have anything 3D for that. And then at the end here, I may not get to this today, but one of the things I wanted to add to the end of this scene, which wasn't in the comic or in any of the printed text either, was there's a little sequence with IG-88 here where he actually survives and he adds a tracker to Slave 1. I added this. Oh yeah, and then here he just kind of powers down and floats, gets picked up by a junker and taken off. The reason I added that is just because IG-88D, there are actually 4 IG-88s, as told in the Tales of the Bounty Hunter's tale, Therefore I Am, which focuses all about IG-88, set from just before Empire Strikes Back, during Empire Strikes Back, and all the way up into Return of the Jedi. There are 4 IG-88s. C and D are the ones that show up here on Tatooine. We can see this right here is C, and Boba Fett takes him out right there, and then D pops out of hyperspace behind him, and then his ship also gets blown up. But and I think, is this here? No, I thought never mind then. I'm going to add like a little head of IG-88 kind of popping out of here. Just kind of see his body go flying like he ejected at the last second. And then he gets really, really hot here. If it will load, y'all already kind of saw it, but I added that because Dash Rendar obviously fights him on Ord Mantell, as we can see in the Shadows of the Empire video game. And I wanted to create kind of like a logical, like, how did he get from here to there? It's never really detailed in any guidebooks or in any of the other source material. So I figured, why not just kind of create a little thing here, which would make perfect sense. You know, a junker taking junk that he found in space to a junkyard on Ord Mantell, leaving Tatooine, discovering this nice little battle loot, and yep, and then there's that. There's actually one other thing. I don't really have a good graphic for this right here, but before Boba Fett actually flies away, like we can see right here, there's actually an additional little moment that I recently discovered in. So this scene, it appears in 6 different pieces of source material, 3 short stories and 3 comics. I already showed you the comics, the Shadows of the Empire issue 1, Battle of the Bounty Hunters pop-up comic, and the Galoob Shadows of the Empire toy comic. But it also appears up in, this scene appears in Therefore I Am, which I mentioned. It also appears in A Barve Like That, which mainly focuses on Boba Fett escaping the Sarlacc pit. But the first, like, quarter of that is actually just a retelling of the scene from Boba Fett's point of view. And then there is a third short story, which shows the same event, and it's from the movie Trilogy source book. It was also printed in the Galaxy Guide number 5. It's called Dark Voyage to Tatooine. It's actually a report made by Vorin Nall after discovering some logs on Slave 1. How he acquired these, I have no idea. Maybe it was in that gap in between when Boba Fett fell in the Sarlacc and before he got Slave 1 back again. But or maybe it was just some years later. I'm not actually sure how Vorin Nall got a hold of it. But he was a historian during the Rebellion, New Republic, and New Jedi Order eras, and into the Legacy era too, as we can see in Supernatural Encounters. But yeah, he's a big character in Supernatural Encounters. But Vorin Nall, he made this report based on these Slave 1 records that basically retell the same scene, Boba Fett making these log entries, and then Vorin Nall kind of spelling it all out. And there's one moment that is... in addition to all these other pieces of source material, everything else is basically copy and paste. You know, IG-88 is waiting for Boba Fett. Boba Fett comes out of hyperspace, takes out IG-2001, and then the IG-2000 comes in from behind and fights Boba Fett. Boba Fett narrowly destroys him before going on to Gaul. In Dark Voyage to Tatooine, though, there's a brief little moment where some Imperials basically are like, hey, you don't have permission to be shooting on other ships here. What are you doing? And then Boba Fett has this forged Darth Vader hologram that he had made. It doesn't actually say who made it for him or how he got it, just as he bought it from someone. But this forged thing that is from Darth Vader that says, this ship has immunity, let it be on its way. So I'm actually going to add that in here at some point, not tonight. Don't really have all the stuff quite ready for that. Ben, who he has a YouTube channel as well. Let me see if I can just kind of show it here. I know I tagged him in a community post not too long ago. Oh yeah, if y'all didn't see, Admiral Zoda made, these are Dash Rendar's jetpack, pistol, and sniper, which appear in the game and with his toy pack. Pretty cool stuff. You can see on my timeline there. And if y'all want to see some cool stuff, check out my community post, because I post a lot of cool artwork, post a lot of stuff from other people, cool stuff I find. Come on, where are you? Just give me one brief moment to find this. I know I'm close. Here we go. Ben, his YouTube channel is starwars.legends.illustrated. You can see it here. And he's got this really funny meme here. Actually, let's just go ahead and watch it. Why not?
But I blew him up.
Somehow IG-88 returned, so I could blow him up again.
IG-88 has risen indeed, motherfuckers. Alright, Rendar. Let's do this.
Yeah, so that was just a nice little meme that he made. Definitely enjoyed him making that. Anyways, so yeah, so that's kind of an overview of what I'm going to do today. Sorry, I've neglected some of these chats here. From the Mandalorian fan channel, when do I predict I will finish and post the movie? So I'm going to be posting one scene at a time as they're finished. And so kind of like how Darth Anglis has done with the Heir to the Empire, just one chapter at a time as they're finished. I'm going to be doing that, but even kind of closer frequencies there, where I'm going to be posting one scene at a time as they're finished. In terms of how long that's going to take, that really depends. I'm very close to getting monetized here on YouTube, and obviously that would be a huge leap forward in helping me just kind of go full time working on this project. Right now, this is a somewhat of a volunteer kind of thing right now, so I'm just doing it in my free time as I have it, but when it will actually be finished, that could be maybe 2 years. I think would be a good goal. For the entire thing. It's probably going to be a long time to get everything done, even if I was able to do this full time and had a ton of Patreon support. If you want to support me on Patreon, you can find me right here. It's just patreon.com/StarWarsFanAnimations. The link for this will be in the description as well. But if you want to support the project there, again, every bit of support goes a long way towards speeding up how fast I can do this. And like I said here on the Sketchfab collection here, like there's a lot of models in here that I straight up want to buy. But obviously I can't buy everything. It would probably be thousands of dollars if I bought everything I wanted. But so I have to manage, like, look at this right here. Look at this awesome sewer area here. This would be awesome for the sewers below G-Zor's Palace. I mean, it's only $5, so it's not very much, but this is something I want to get, kind of want to get closer to that. Now this is only a small little area here, and probably would need some modification, but I don't know, it looks pretty good for something that could be used for the project. But anyway, oh, was not sharing that. Here we go. Yep. Here's this sewer. Only $5 here on Sketchfab. But anyways, yeah, kind of like the Tartakovsky mini Clone Wars series. Yeah, eventually I will kind of cut it all together and release it that way. And the reason I'm doing one scene at a time instead of by chapter or by issue is because we're dealing with a big multimedia project here. There's the novel, there's the comics, there's the video game levels. There's also all the micro short stories in the West End Games Sourcebook. You can actually find that for free, a free PDF of that on StarWarsTimeline.net if you want to read through some of those yourself. And then, there's also several other short stories that don't exist in Shadows of the Empire, but overlap with it. Like I said, Therefore I Am and A Barve Like That. go that way. So yeah, so doing it one scene at a time just kind of helps keep the chronology straight, because there's a lot of overlap between the book, comic, and novel, or book, comic, and game. Some scenes take place in all three, so doing it one scene at a time just kind of helps make that stuff a lot easier. But without further ado, I've been talking a lot about what I'm going to do tonight, so let's actually just kind of get to work. I might not talk very much. I'll try to keep an eye on the chat there. Yeah, so let me share my screen. Boom. All right, so let's just pick a shot that I have in the previs animatic here that needs something. Yeah, so this shot right here, it's just a nice little zoom in on IG-88 as he's waiting out for Boba Fett here. So let's see here, how many frames is that? Oops. Why is it not telling me the duration? That is odd. Okay. Don't know why that is. I'll just count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72. All right, there we go. So 71 before it gets to the next thing here. So just a slow zoom in on IG-88 in his ship, and that'll be 71 frames. I'll go ahead and mark that here so I remember it, and we'll just start with that shot. First things first, I need to get this thing good and done. So let me just go ahead here and where is IG-2000? Here we go. Yep. Interior, IG-2000 cockpit. All right, then I'll just import the ship, and we'll start there. All right, so dang, that's a lot of pieces. Let me just go ahead and start by hiding everything exterior, because I'm not gonna. Okay, so I definitely need that. Use like vertex groups or something. No. All right, so that's the main hull. I'll come back to that in a second. Don't really even need to worry about a lot of that stuff. There's the ceiling, top panel. Okay. All right, so let's just start texturing. So all that's pink. And so I'm using Blender here. This is a totally free program. You can find it on blender.org. Make sure you go to .org, because there's some scams out there like blender.net or blender.com where you think you're downloading Blender, the website looks just like Blender, and then whenever you actually go to download something, you download viruses and stuff. So blender.org won't have any issues there. So let's start with this. Let's see here, central top panel. The texture name for that is bubble ship top hull center texture. All right. Should be in this folder somewhere. Just gotta give it a second to load. All the textures are loaded, right? Let me just check on that and make sure all the textures are actually unzipped. Mandalorian fan channel, gotta go, but have a great week. Well, thanks, Mandalorian fan channel. Come back and rewatch if you want. All this stuff's probably gonna be cool to watch later on. Anyways, pretty future-proof, but all right, come on, open up. All right, it's going to take a moment. Live streaming puts a lot of extra strain on a computer's RAM, so slows things down a little bit sometimes, but that's all good. In the chat here, let's see here, we got William Wadden, CT9994, and Mandalorian Fan Channel who just left, but anyone else watching right now? Let me know in the chat if you're here. Also, for kind of just a little progress update while I'm waiting for this textures thing to load. You know what? I'm just going to close that out and reopen. Oh, there we go. There's all the textures. See here. It should just have the same name, so I could just hit open. Yep, there we go. And then roughness there. Yeah, gotta go to textures. There we go. Don't think I actually click textures on this one. And then the normal map. Incredible Folk. Super excited to see this when it's all done. Yeah, me too. You know, one of the reasons I wanted to make this is because I knew nobody else would, and I wanted to see it myself. So I decided, hey, you know, let's make it. And oh yeah, these need to be set to non-color. The roughness and metallic maps there, and normal map. Is this channel packed at all? Hey Corey, good, glad to have you here. Corey has been a regular on Patreon and Discord. Glad to have you here for sure. And yeah, see here, what else was I talking about? I'm just gonna kind of be doing some stuff out of habit here. Don't mind me. Yeah, that's not a channel pack texture, so I can just leave that as straight. And boom, there's the material. Yep, so there's the top part. Let's do this part here. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, update. So we have cast a lot of new voice actors in recent days. The video that I posted on, the video that I posted on, I think it was last Saturday, that ended up doing pretty well in terms of getting people interested in reaching out to be voice actors, and I got way more than I could handle all at once, which was a good problem to have. And so I've been busy the last several weeks just pretty much focusing on the voice actors and making sure they have everything they need. Some people are still waiting on me, but I will be kind of wrapping some of that stuff up. And then before too long, I will have sent everything that I need out to the voice actors, and I'll just be waiting on stuff to get recorded and come in. I've already had a ton of stuff recorded and come in, so definitely looking forward to that, because once I have all the voice acting stuff done, all I have to do is kind of stuff that I'm doing right now is just focus on the 3D stuff. And so, you know, that'll be a huge blessing in terms of, you know, the time it takes to get stuff done and speeding things up. So Dark Empire and Heir to the Empire, Corey says. Editing, yeah. So Dark Empire is actually something that I do definitely want to do. I know Dark Empire can be controversial among some people. I actually used to hate the idea of it before I'd ever read it, especially after The Rise of Skywalker. I was like, if The Rise of Skywalker is, you know, based on Dark Empire at all, then I don't want anything to do with it. And then I read it and I was like, oh, this is totally different, and it's actually really good. And there's actually a moment that I'm kind of writing in here. It doesn't technically exist as part of the Shadows of the Empire multimedia project, but there's a piece of source material. I think it's in one of the magazines from the 90s. I think it was Gamer Guide. Might have been something different, though. I can't remember. I have it written down somewhere. But there's a scene where Jang Droga, who is one of the Emperor's hands, actually goes with Palpatine to Biss and kind of examines the clones there. And I thought that would actually be a great opportunity for Palpatine to do that in Shadows of the Empire, because as you all know, he in Empire Strikes Back is just talking with Vader and Jizor and all that sort of stuff, and then he takes a trip near the end, officially to go visit the Death Star, but I thought it would be a really cool idea if on his way back from that trip, he actually made a visit to Biss in order to check on his clones, which I kind of wrote an interesting little thing in there where it kind of ties into Crimson Empire a bit too, because the Emperor's physician in Dark Empire, he actually, sabotages his clones to try to get Karnor Jax to be the new emperor, who is one of the Imperial Guardsmen who betrayed Palpatine. And so I thought it'd be really cool to kind of make a trip there and kind of show like, oh, there's clones here, but they're not quite ready. And so I've written that out and sent all those lines to the Palpatine voice actor. Definitely very excited to hear those back. Hear back from him on all that. And I'm really excited for you all to see those scenes too, because I had a ton of fun kind of piecing together from the different pieces of source material, all that stuff. And yeah, so and then with Heir to the Empire, I actually there's a few scenes in short stories that would take place during the Shadows of the Empire timeline. One of them is called Clone 2332, or Clone B 2332-54, I think is what it's called. You can find it on Wikipedia and other places what the official name of it's called. But and then there's another one called The Emperor's Trophy. But basically, those two short stories, one of them tells the story of Vader going back to Bespin immediately after kind of the Millennium Falcon escapes. He's on the Executor, and then he returns to Bespin and retrieves Luke's hand. And then the next one, greetings, Masquerade. Greetings, Masquerade. Glad to have you here. Thank you for joining us. But yeah, the other scene is Vader actually goes to Mount Tantus and meets with the Emperor there, and presents the Emperor with Luke's hand and lightsaber, which, of course, that makes a big splash in The Last Command, those two being there, and of course Mount Tantus being there. And so those three scenes, I mean, the one with the Emperor going to Biss, and then Vader collecting Luke's hand and then taking it to Mount Tantus. Those are definitely two things I want to include in the Shadows of the Empire adaptation. And as a consequence of that, I'm going to be making a lot of models that would be pretty useful for those projects. And so actually, after I finish adding the textures to this, so they're not pink anymore, because that's what Blender does when it can't find the link to the textures. It makes everything pink. But yeah, all right, so I did that for this object. Let me go back here to this here on Sketchfab. I'm trying to find here. Okay, yeah. So on Sketchfab here, I've actually already downloaded these to my computer. I haven't like unzipped them or anything like that. But here is the Shadow Droids from Dark Empire. You can see here on Sketchfab from Archon Merrick. And then there is couple of other models on here. Let me see here. What was it? Was it Biss? Is that it? No. What was the other model? World Devastator? Was that it? No. Let me see here. Was it a Sith droid or something like that? It's a war droid. War droid is what I think it was called. Forget exactly what they're called. They're the war droids in Dark Empire. They show up in the second one. Basilisk, that's what they're called. No? Where's it? No, that's the Mandalorian droids. I can't find it exactly on here. I may have added it to the Shadows of the Empire thing. And then the other thing here was the Eclipse. Yeah, so the Eclipse class Star Destroyer. There's a few different ones on here, but this one is by far my favorite. As you can see, that's kind of how it looks. Very good model. If you get super close up to it, the textures don't quite hold up. But, you know, this being a massive ship, you're only really going to see it from a distance. And then the other droid there, whoopsies. The other droid there, I think I actually saved this fairly recently. It's the war droids that show up in Dark Empire. I forget their name, their exact name. Someone tell me if I pass it. Guess I maybe didn't save it that recently. It's probably way far back, and that's gonna take a while to get to. Yeah, it's gonna be pretty far back. But anyways, so yeah, so Dark Empire and Heir to the Empire, and the Thrawn Trilogy in general. I will be making some models for those, so I might pick that up at some point and do that after Shadows of the Empire, or depending on how difficult some of the scenes are, I might do some scenes from those projects, maybe not all of them, kind of in an earlier advanced stage. But there's actually a few scenes too from some other projects that I realized that kind of once I get a bunch of Shadows of the Empire done, I'd have everything I need to do those scenes, like the opening scene in Intrusive Bakura. I'd have everything I need for that, and same with some of the early scenes in a few other stuff too. But all right, so that's all of those. Let's see here. Yep, here's this. Yeah, this part is just the monotonous part of relinking all the textures after you unzip a file and download it. Sometimes files are texture packed, which you can do by going to external data and just clicking pack textures, but some people don't do that, and they just kind of leave it as is, and then your Blender can't figure out where all your textures are because you never told it. Yeah, so I would love to do this project someday. Definitely big fans of both of those. Heir to the Empire might not be something that I kind of prioritize, just because there already is a nearly complete adaptation of it by Darth Angelus, and you know, if I ever did do anything in that time period, it would probably be, you know, like Dark Force Rising or Last Command, because no one's done those yet, and you know, Darth Angelus might choose to do those and might finish them before I even finish Shadows. So, you know, in that case, I would probably just defer to him on that and be like, you know, hey, you're the one who did it. So, and just kind of leave that be and focus on something else. But, and then Dark Empire, kind of similar deal, because there's an animated Dark Empire from Spiky Tortoise, formerly known as Wilkins Animations. And that's a 2D animated one. A couple of the choices I wasn't quite as big a fan of, like using the Rise of Skywalker design for Palpatine in the second issue of that. But, you know, I mean, it's still a pretty good adaptation and, you know, pretty enjoyable to watch. So, I mean, I recommend it. So, I mean, we'll see if either of them, you know, if they finish things through, and if they do, then I might just choose to go work on something different instead. I've had a lot of people tell me about Courtship of Princess Leia is something that they're interested in. on Patreon and just kind of over email and over Discord and stuff like that. So Courtship of Princess Leia is a pretty cool one. It's one of my favorites. And Shadows of the Empire Evolution would be a really good one too. Thanks, William Wadden. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to the Vader and Palpatine scenes as well. The Palpatine voice actor for this is like awesome. I'm really excited for you all to get to hear him. I will be putting a slight filter on it just to make it a little closer to Ian McDiarmid's voice, but the performance it's spot on. Yeah, it took me a while to get him everything he needed, especially because I had to write a couple scenes that he was in. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention this one too. There's another scene that I'm writing into this adaptation. I've already written it, and it's going to include Mara Jade. It's going to be a scene with Palpatine sending Mara Jade to Tatooine to kill Luke Skywalker. I went through her short story in Tales from Jabba's Palace, as well as Mara Jade by the Emperor's Hand, and kind of just went through every detail about her, Palpatine sending her there, what Palpatine told her to do. And then there's a scene, a very brief scene that is mentioned in, I believe it is the, oh, it's sitting over there, don't I? I think it's just the Sith versus Jedi, Jedi versus Sith, the Guide to the Force. It's kind of in there with the new essential guides, similar artists and layout and all that. But there's a scene in a holo recording that Mara Jade made to Tion, set during the Jedi Academy trilogy. And in this recording, she's talking about Emperor's Hands, and or maybe it was right after Children of the Jedi. Or was it during Darksaber? I can't remember. But she makes this recording for Tion. So it's kind of it's an EU canon scene where she's basically recalling an event where she was in Palpatine's throne room, and then Palpatine dismissed her, and then Vader came in with Lady Lumia, and Lumia was presented to Palpatine for the first time, and Palpatine told Lumia, "You will be an instrument of my will." And I thought that would be a perfect scene to kind of mash with this idea of Palpatine sending Mara Jade to Tatooine, in that he's actually going to we can include a scene with Mara Jade and with Lumia and Vader there, and that would kind of be somewhat towards the end of the project, but it would have all three of those characters. So Lumia is actually, oh darn it, why did I do that? All right. Lumia is actually a character that I really like. I've just recently been reading through the 1977 comics, and that was something that I really liked her character in those comics. And of course, she appears back in the Legacy of the Force novel series. And but yeah, Lumia in the 1977 comics, it's perfect timeline for Shadows of the Empire 2 for her to be introduced to Palpatine in between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, because in that period, which kind of in my adaptation of this, I might adapt some of those comics in here as well, because there's a good deal that take place in between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. I probably won't do all of them just because there's a lot, and that would just be too much. But yes, Sand Wampas, those will make an appearance on Gaul for sure. I was actually thinking of, because in Jedi Survivor, I've not actually played the game, but I've seen some gameplay footage. They actually have brown wampas in that, and I was thinking that, those models could be really cool to just kind of rip and make some modifications to, and then bring back into the scenes there. So let me know what you all think of that. But yeah, that's definitely an idea that I had looking at that, the artwork, or gameplay demo footage, and thinking that those would be pretty good additions. And yeah, Lando Calrissian. Yeah, I'm excited for that too. I really like the way that the voice filter showed out. I don't have a voice actor yet for Lando to do the performance driving, but the filter sounds spectacular, and so hopefully I can get a really good voice actor for that in the near future. Yeah, Lady Lumia, Mara Jade will be making cameo appearances in my Shadows of the Empire project, probably towards the end of the fan film, just because that would probably be a good time. Maybe after the destruction of Xizor's palace, but before the epilogue there, where Palpatine sends Vader to Endor, and Luke goes back to Tatooine and makes his recording kind of in the last little section of Shadows of the Empire. But get these textures linked here. And this one has just a single object has a bunch of materials on it. One of the things I really wanted to do with this adaptation was really lean into the multimedia project aspect of things, because I mean, this one story, which is like everything that's in between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, like, I mean, literally Shadows of the Empire issue 1, which I have right here, like it literally starts with, Luke and Leia right here in the Rebel rendezvous, and then, the Empire shows up, and then Vader is on the Executor after failing to capture the Millennium Falcon, and gets kind of berated by the Emperor here, leading into Xizor exit, and then Boba Fett shows up on Tatooine, and then you can actually see here in the previs, or the animatic really at this point, but kind of at the end here, I have IG-88 floating, gets taken away by a junker, and then there's a crossfade, and then an X-wing shows up. I might actually modify that a little bit for the final scene, because here in issue 1, Crix Medine tells Leia that he's altering their course as a precaution. It may mean some delay if you still intend to go to Tatooine. And then later on, Luke and Leia end up on Tatooine. Obviously, they both can't fit into an X-wing, so I'm not entirely sure how I want to transition that scene over here at the end. Might have like a Nebulon B frigate come out, and then a ship leave, like a shuttle carrying Leia, and then Luke in his X-wing, something to that effect. Or maybe just have a second shuttle come in behind Luke Skywalker's X-wing that has Leia, and then that shuttle leaves afterwards. But with the this crossfade right here is literally a period of about 3 months, because in the 1977 comics, there's a 3-month period of time where the rebels are searching for Han Solo, and they run into Dengar and Bosk, and then during that period they have a new base on the planet Arba, and that is kind of where Lady Lumia sort of shows up, and then after Shadows of the Empire, there's actually this really cool thing I really like, where there's a really kind of convoluted changing of hands with the second Death Star plans, because in Shadows of the Empire we can see it was on the Suprosa, and then Dash Rendar got it, and then they took it to Cothless, and then the Bothans got it, and then when the bounty hunters show up and capture Luke, the Death Star plans get smuggled out, and then the person who smuggles them out, as seen in the short stories in the West End Game Sourcebook, they end up, having it taken from them too, by other Bothans, and then after even that, I know it just keeps on going. After even that, we see in X-Wing Alliance, right? It kind of keeps changing hands, and eventually, you know, it ends up being in a lot of different people's hands. And then in the X-Wing, the Star Wars 1977 comics, we actually see that it gets in the hands of the Bothans, and then the Bothans try to get it back to the Rebel Alliance through a rebel named Tay Vanis, who kind of runs Luke and Leia on like a, you know, wild bantha chase, where they have to kind of track him down and find the plans, and eventually they do, and that kind of leads right into Return of the Jedi. All right, is that everything? I think I got all the textures linked here. Yep, I think that's everything. Let me just make sure nothing has a secondary material on it. So, you know, how much of that I include in here, I'm not entirely sure. The core things I want to include are the novel, the game, the comics, and a lot of the micro shorts from the Weston Game Sourcebook are going to serve as kind of just scenes within the project. Is this correct? Yeah, okay. This is kind of black there, so I was kind of curious. But I definitely want to include a lot of those micro shorts, and then a few of those short stories that take place very clearly within the timeline of Shadows of the Empire and somewhat relevant to that story. All right, yeah, that's everything. All right, woo, we finished texturing. All right, so I'm going to come to IG-88 now and work on rigging him up. All right, so I've already gotten everything with the head rigged. Yep, from there, I'll just kind of hide all this stuff here. Ooh, yeah. What was I saying? But when it comes to the 1977 comics and some of the other things that are kind of ancillary to Shadows of the Empire here, I'm not sure how much of that I want to include, just because it would be a lot of extra things that might take a, you know, 3-hour project to a 5-hour project, and I just don't know if I'm going to put that much time into just this one project. But definitely would be something worth looking into. And I really like those comics, and it's really nice for help. It's been helpful for me to kind of know what all happens in that time period and kind of keep that in consideration when working on this project. Is there any other things you all can think of that tie in with Shadows of the Empire that you all would like to kind of see show up here or referenced, or even just kind of a design or something to that effect? Just let me know in the live chat. All right, so now I'm just trying to separate the mesh here so that I can get his feces, not feet, so I can get his feet ready to rig it here. I think here, how was that supposed to go? Where's the turn mechanism? Looks like that's all supposed to stay stationary. Yeah, Shadows of the Empire Evolution, Corey. Yeah, that is, yeah, I really like Shadows of the Empire Evolution too. I know you saw it, but for anyone else who hasn't seen it yet, I went ahead and made an opening crawl for that, in addition to the Shadows of the Empire crawl that I already have. I've been making a lot of crawls lately. Anyone watching right now that hasn't seen them all yet, just go to my channel. I'll actually kind of show you here. Yep, on my channel. I've got Jedi Academy, Jedi Search, Darth Bane, Path of Destruction, Legacy. This is the Legacy comics, not the Legacy of the Force novels. And then Courtship of Princess Leia, True Set Bakura, and then Shadows of the Empire Evolution. And then I also have here, yeah, Shadows of the Empire, the original one for the project I'm currently working on. But Shadows of the Empire Evolution definitely would have a lot of overlap with Shadows of the Empire in terms of the number of models and voice actors I need to have. I think actually, did I put those on here? No, so the comics are not there. I think I have them on my Google Drive. Yes, okay. So I have here all the comics for Shadows of the Empire Evolution. But like, for instance, you know, a good portion of it, you know, there's the Stinger that shows up in Shadows of the Empire. And you know, there's a lot of new locations here. Like, for instance, you know, got this cantina area, brand new cantina. And all right, got some new characters like this alien here. And the Pike sisters here actually show up in Shadows of the Empire, but only as a hologram. They don't show up as anything else. So I'm going to have to model them anyway for Shadows of the Empire. I might as well use them in something more substantial. Then, of course, Guri, but she's got a whole new outfit in this that she doesn't have in Shadows of the Empire. The Black Sun Vigos here. I'm going to go ahead and have all the voice actors, you know, record these lines right here and now. For Shadows of the Empire, and then also, right, we got Luke, Han, Leia. Han would be pretty much the only big addition here because obviously he has no part in Shadows of the Empire. And trying to think. Shadows of the Empire Evolution is also a little bit shorter. Actually, it's significantly shorter than Shadows of the Empire because it's only 5 issues, and Shadows of the Empire 6 issues, plus a whole novel with a lot of new scenes in it that aren't in the comics and all that. But I really like Shadows of the Empire Evolution. I'm going to go ahead and have the Guri voice actors record all of the lines for this as well ahead of time so that I can have a jump start on that. Whenever the time comes to actually start on making that. So I don't know if that'll be exactly the next one I do after Shadows or kind of concurrent. Because one of the things with, you know, Shadows of the Empire here is once I actually have some sets done and, you know, some characters and voice actors cast and all that sort of stuff, I can actually start on a lot of other projects, even if it's just a few scenes here and there. And that will go a long way towards just kind of making more EU adaptations, which I know is, you know, what we all want to see more of. So, sure, yeah. And then for these feet here, I'm actually, gonna take this and yes, cursor to there, perfectly in the center. Then I'm just going to set origin to 3D cursor. Right. Now that foot's rotating on the right axis. And do the same thing with this one. Come on. Select the right vertice. There we go. And then set origin to 3D cursor. All right, so now the feet, yeah, they should be rotating on the right axis. Booyah. And then, does IG-88 have knee joints? Don't know, actually. I'll go ahead and just start with the hips here. One of the awesome functions I love in Blender here is you can just highlight a bunch of stuff that you want to select and then just hit Control L and it'll select every vertice near those. Now I won't get everything, as you can see here. I use face select. I might get a little bit more. But definitely a very helpful tool to select everything you want to get. Hold up, what? There we go. So there's still a bunch of stuff in there. Oh yeah, there's all kinds of stuff that still needs selected. Let's see. Booyah, okay. So now the legs are separated. And now I just need to set the origin at the right spot. So in order to do that, I'm just going to hide that top part. And what would be the ideal place for this to rotate around? Maybe somewhere right in there, I bet. Oh yeah, right in the middle. And then, oh, go ahead and set. Yeah, origin to 3D cursor. I do need to split these two legs up though. Yeah, that's close up there. No, I did not want to select those two, just these. So what I'm doing here for anyone just joining is I am doing a kind of rigging on IG-88. The model that I bought on Sketchfab did not have a rig on it, and it was all a solid mesh. So I'm kind of having to split it up here and make a solid mesh out of it. And by doing that, I can actually animate this more. For the trailer that I did a few months ago, for the trailer that I did a few months ago, I actually only really rigged his shoulders and face, because that's all that I showed in that shot. And yeah, there we go. And then I need to parent the feet to the legs so that when I rotate them, they don't do this. Booyah. Now when I rotate, it goes right with the feet. Booyah. And one of the things, I think I actually did this to the some of these other models here. Let's see here, if I just unhide everything here. I think, did I actually constrain some of the rotations here? Constraint. I actually didn't. Might at some point do that. I just add a constraint limit rotation. So I want to put limits on the X and the Y so that when I rotate this, it only goes on the X axis there. Now hold up, if I rotate this like that, it's still trying to do the same thing. So that's not actually going to work because then I can't rotate the body at all. That do it? No, it still keeps the same rotation all the way around. Yeah, I'm just going to keep these off. I'll just have to rotate them directly on the axis that I'm wanting. I'm really curious. How did these knees move? The arms, I might need to actually put a bone displacement on that for the elbows there. Maybe even have that cylinder be able to go up inside. I'm just going to look at some reference real fast. That's me. And let's see here, IG-11, Mandalorian. Just going to look at some reference here and kind of see how did his knees bend.
Rogue emotions have taken over headquarters. Ennui, anxiety, embarrassment, and envy. I have a big idea. It's a brainstorm!
Disney and Pixar's Inside Out 2, rated PG.
The only reason I'm looking at this as reference is just because I think it's the only time that it's actually been seen in live action how an IG droid walks.
Produce said asset. Subparagraph 16 of the Bondsman Guild Protocol. Subparagraph 16 of the Bondsman Guild Protocol waiver compels you. You are a guild member. I thought I was the only one on assignment. Sadly, I must ask for your fault.
So it looks like here they actually redesigned the knees so that they'd be a little more bendable. So here in Blender, yeah, the knees look just like the elbow joints there. In that, I might just need to just see here. I just need to kind of highlight all this and separate it, and then just kind of maybe hide some of that. How does IG-88 move in Shadows of the Empire, I wonder, in the game? Just gonna look at a little more reference here.
Recordings just got better.
Hey, StreamYard. Not the sponsor of this video, but it is what I'm using to live stream right now. There we go.
I've been monitoring you, Captain Render. You were correct to assume that following me would lead you to Boba Fett. But you are mistaken to believe you will claim the Rebels' reward for his location. You are outmatched.
Sounds like you got your wires crossed, IG-88.
As there is a 0% probability that you will survive this encounter, I see no risk in enforcing orders.
Alright, IG-88, let's see how you walk. It looks like you do have a bend at the knee there. Alright. Guess that means I'm gonna have to put something in there. Oh, but there's a cable that goes all the way to the bottom. That's gonna be fun. Don't know. I'm just gonna have to put some kind of sim on that. Thankfully for this scene I don't need to worry about that because his legs are not present in any of these scenes. I do just want to kind of go ahead and work ahead though a little bit so that make things easier for myself later on. But man, yeah, that's gonna be a challenge. All right. So now, let's see here. If I select this, just hide that part there. I select this, and yeah, why don't I just do that? And then cursor is selected. Then when I bring this back, I make that its origin point. Yeah, then I can, whoop, holy, this never got parented. Now I can rotate around there, but that wire is going to be a problem. That is a problem I probably will not plan to fix today. Yeah, IG-88, the IG series droids. These are some really, really cool droids. Interesting build. A little difficult to rig here. Rigging is not my specialty, by the way, folks. I much prefer animation to modeling, texturing, and rigging and all that. I'm pretty familiar with the node editor, so materials have never really been a big challenge for me. But the rigging has been a challenge in the past. I'll just say that. Yeah, another wire on that side, it looks like. Alright, let me just test out the legs here. Hold up. Oh! What? How did that stuff up there end up connected down to the bottom? Uh-oh. Gotta make sure. There we go. Alright. So that leg is rigged. That leg is rigged. This lower leg. Oh. So we got a big old splat on the back here. Which didn't make it in. Okay. I think that fixed that. Yep. Yep. Okay. Now just for the arms here. Now I did see in the cutscene there, whenever his arm moved around, didn't really utilize this thing at all, but I might go ahead and do it anyway. But I'll start here, actually, because it looks like that pipe can go in, right? I don't know, I might just leave it as it is there. Let me start with the hands. Let's start there. Actually, let me just do one side first at a time. Yep, alright, so that's that side of the hand. And then there's going to be this side. Separate that out. Now there's not really anything here for that. So how am I going to do that? I might here just add a line, or here I'll add a plane. Delete two vertices. I'm going to take this. Whoa. Origin to geometry. There we go. Just scale it down. I want to try and get this as perfect as possible. Scale down. All right, that's about right on the y-axis. I'm just going to try to center this up as best I can here. Because the origin's nearly perfectly in the middle there, just take this, well actually yeah, cursor to selected, and origin to 3D cursor. Now, here, if I rotate this on the Y, boom, now he can grab stuff. I'm going to take this line, I'm going to do the same thing over here. See, we got a few more people joining us. Let me know in the chat if you're enjoying so far. Yeah, perfect. All right, so I'm going to take, oops, got to take the line. Cursor selected, and then origin to 3D cursor. Booyah. I'm actually going to just take this same line and move it over here to do the same thing, but I need to split the hand up here first. There we go. Okay. Boo and yeah. Okay. Uh-oh. This is so different than it is over here. Should the hands be in the exact same spot on both sides? No, they aren't. Are the shoulders at the same rotation? Odd. It's not perfectly symmetrical, I guess. Where is my line? Oh, that's right. All right. Okay, so I need to make sure this line is perfectly symmetrical. Just as a little reference guide. All right. And I'm going to try to center this up as best I can. Oops. All right, cursor to selected, and then origin to 3D cursor. Let's do the same thing over here. Hey, Arthur, thank you for joining. Yes, magic is happening. I'm finally getting IG-88's rig finished. Booyah. Okay, now looks like here we've got another hinge I need to add. So let's start. This is going to be this whole hand here. You know what? I might just. Oops. Might just. Okay, so that is a different part there. go. Might just hide these for now. Yeah, I knew there'd be something hiding in there. All right, separate that out. And then, thankfully here, I don't need to use a guide because pieces are right here. Just like that, and then I can just put cursor right there in the middle. And then I can set its origin to the cursor. And now, booyah, we have motion around that axis. If I bring the hands back, oops, just gotta select the one piece. Oh, that's right, I need to take these and parent them to the hand so that when I do this, I go with it. Awesome. I'll do the same thing on the other side. I mentioned earlier in the live stream that I'm actually getting pretty close to being monetized here on YouTube. I'm pretty far over the 1,000 subscriber number. I'm almost at 1620 if I haven't gotten there already. I knew I was at 1619, I think, last I checked. Could have gone up or down by a few since then, I suppose. But anyways, but my main hurdle right now is getting to the watch time number. I am less than 2,000 short, a little over 1,000, under 2,000. I forget the exact number. And it lags behind by like 4 days, which isn't very helpful. So, you know, if I get 100 hours in a single day, I wouldn't know for 5 days because it takes time for those stats to update. But once I actually get monetized here on YouTube, then I can actually start running ads on my videos. And once I can do that, I can actually dedicate a lot more time towards making this Shadows of the Empire fan film. Fan films themselves cannot be monetized, but videos just like this live stream can be. And same with, you know, some of the other videos I do that aren't, you know, fan film content. So I would just have to turn monetization off for any of the actual fan films. But so yeah, I'm getting pretty close to that. I think I'm going to actually start live streaming at least weekly, just to try to help get those numbers up. So Tuesday evenings tend to be pretty good on my audience analytics. It says that a lot of you are online on Tuesdays. So if that works for you all, let me know in the comments or the live chat here, or the comments on the video if you're watching later. Let me know if Tuesday evenings are a good time for you, if you'd actually be interested in checking out the videos on Tuesday nights. These live streams will just be me working on the project. You'll get to see some exclusive kind of behind the scenes, just me working on stuff here. And if you watch these, actually, you know, 100 people watching 1 hour content, that's 100 hours. Do that for 10 weeks, that's 1,000, right? So, and you need 4,000 watch hours to get monetized. And generally speaking, it's about 4 cents a view, I think, is what YouTube monetization usually runs for. It changes depending on the genre and all that, but rule of thumb, generally speaking, is 4 cents per view. And so, you know, if I could get 4 cents per view, then, you know, I'd be I mean, even right now, I'd be making several $100s a month at the videos that I'm currently, at the views that I currently get. It would be well over that. So getting closer would be awesome. And after this live stream, if you want to go check out some of my other videos, by all means, that would be super helpful in getting me there. And every minute counts. After monetization, your number of watch hours are a little bit less important. Views actually help a lot more, though. Of course, if you have longer videos, you can pack more ads in it. But until then, if you do want to support the channel directly, you can support on Patreon, become a member. If membership doesn't really work for you, but you still want to support the project in some way, on Ko-Fi, the link for that will also be in the description. On Ko-Fi, you can actually just do single donations. You don't have to do any recurring payments or subscriptions or anything like that. And I try to give Ko-Fi donors a little bit of exclusivity as well, give them early access to some stuff in perpetuity. If you've donated $5 once, then that's something that I definitely want to reward you for, especially if that was if a membership was not necessarily something that you could do. But one other thing you could actually do to support the channel is we have a merch store. The link for that was also in the description. So on Etsy, it's a print on demand is how I get stuff printed. So I don't have a closet full of shirts I'm trying to sell, but every time you buy a shirt, they print it right away. The service that I use, and then they get that shipped to you. And yeah, they're pretty cool. I'm actually wearing mine right now. Let me just show you. So this is Black Sun. This is the official Black Sun logo with the text in the Shadows of the Empire font. So that is one of the 4 designs that we have currently. I've got a few ideas for another few. I've done the designs, but I just have to actually kind of, make sure that the files are at a high enough quality, and actually kind of, some things I'm rendering out, like for instance, the Gizor shirt that I have in the store. That's actually a render of the 3D model by RL Wedding that I'm using for Shadows of the Empire. So I've been using some of the 3D stuff here, trying to use that wherever possible, in thumbnails or whatnot, merch designs. And I don't know how long those will last, just because, sometimes Disney feels the need to, put a slap suit on someone, or just, tell people to take stuff down. Generally speaking, like, even if it's not officially licensed Star Wars merch, they kind of permit it. They can at any time have a legal right to take it down, but they permit a lot of stuff just because, it generates enthusiasm. And, it's kind of, oh yeah, Outrider shirt. Yeah, that's right, Arthur. That's one of the ones I currently have designed out how I want it. I was thinking of actually using from the Westing Games, what do you call it? Cutout, or not cutout, cross section, something to that effect. In the Westing Games Shadows of the Empire Sourcebook, they have some really cool graphics in there that I was hoping to recreate with the 3D model that I have. The one shirts, like actual color 3D renders, I'm a little uncertain of how well they'll come out, so I kind of want to use more like silhouettes and stuff, kind of like how I did with the Gizor print and that sort of stuff. But they got a throne print on there as well, with one of his most iconic lines. Maybe not his most iconic line, but one of his most memorable. One of the most memorable scenes from in the book, that is, in terms of dialogue. But oh my, there's a lot of stuff still in there that's not been selected. And then Jackson Oki. Anyone ever wondered how IG-88 holds? And oh man, I am back. I forgot to switch this back. My bad, y'all. Anyone ever wondered how IG-88 holds and fires his blasters with those two-pronged finger clamps? Yeah, that's a good question. I'm going to have to figure that out for sure. Right now, I'm actually, as y'all can see, trying to separate this blaster from him. The artist who originally made this just put it in there as part of the same object, which doesn't make things easier for me at all, but there we go. So there's that blaster. Just make sure nothing is missing. All right. And then this, I'm just going to put its origin to its geometry, whatever's kind of in the basic thing there. So just kind of as a test here, first things first, I'm just going to apply the rotation to everything, make sure everything is set to 0. So the blaster here, actually, this is not set to 0. Hold up. Uh-oh. Something didn't get through. Ah. Oh, actually a couple pieces. Those looked like they were not stuck, but I guess they did get stuck. But yeah, I can actually go ahead and test right now just kind of how that looks. Hadn't quite thought of that yet. He's only got those two little prongs on either hand, poor fella. Alright, now that's joined back to a single piece. And Blender is freezing. Yay. Like I was saying just a moment ago about monetization, one of the things I want to do is really just kind of put as much time into this project as I can. And right now, in terms of the actual sort of time commitment I'm putting into it, I'd say I'm probably putting in probably about 10 to 20 hours a week, I'd say. You know, it is totally at the moment, it's more or less volunteer. I do have patrons, and I've had a few Ko-Fi donors, and, you know, some sales on the merch store, and all that's been very helpful. I've used that to purchase models and all that good stuff. And so, you know, it's definitely been put to good use. But, you know, being able to actually kind of dedicate more time to this would, one, it would make it come out a lot faster, and two, would, you know, I'd get to have a lot more fun doing it because it'd be my primary focus. But, you know, one thing any of y'all can do to help with that is just, you know, watch these live streams, watch, you know, other videos that I have when they come out. And, you know, hopefully in that process of things, it's weird. Why are the lines looking like that? Where's a straight line there? How do I do it? Yeah, let's make that just a totally straight line, shall we? Stay straight. I think that's about as straight as that's going to get. then Alt R. Ah! Let me actually, I am going to, how do I get this back where it was without messing anything up? I'm just going to take a quick picture real fast of those values so I know what to do when the time comes. And booyah. Yeah, so let me just kind of take this back where it was on his back, right there. And then I'm actually just going to duplicate that for these purposes. And let me see here. If I... Hello, Admiral Zoda. Thanks for stopping in to say hi. I was showing off your stuff earlier, the jetpack, the blaster pistol, and sniper for Dash Rendar, and definitely appreciate you working on those. They look great. Let me see here. I took that picture. Let me put these values back in real fast. Sorry if it looks like I'm just sitting still. I'm doing stuff off screen here. See here, 18.616. That was supposed to be for a different value there. And 59.773. And then 1.4, that's the location, 110.97 degrees. Booyah. Okay. So I'm going to take his arm here and just kind of rotate that up like that. And I'm going to take this part of the arm here. Well, actually, let's see here. How does that fit around the trigger? Zoda, I think when we spoke before, you said that you had some ideas for some textures, and kind of like the ideas that you're having there. So if you want to go ahead and texture those, you can. If not, I'll do them. But either way, I appreciate the work you did on the modeling. I wish I could texture as well as the person who textured this IG-88. Their texturing was spot on. I'm usually pretty good with procedural materials, but actually like texture painting and stuff is not a major skill set of mine. I try to get better at it, but I think that's what this little hook here is for, actually, is to kind of help hold that some. It just kind of rests right there. And then the hands here, just kind of grasp the trigger. Booyah. All right. Yeah, that looks pretty good, don't you all think? I may not do any close-ups on the fingers because it gets a little bit janky kind of when it gets up close there. But yeah. that turned out pretty good. So it says here, want to do some research to see what people do for fun, texture mapping and such, gun texture mapping and such. I've got no problem making stuff and lightening your workload. Well, thank you, SOTE. I appreciate that. Yeah, texture mapping, texture painting is the real hard thing. Texture mapping is a little bit easier if you're just kind of laying it out on the UVs, but actually painting them on, which is kind of what this is here, definitely very difficult. UV unwrapping is not crazy difficult. I've never really had a huge issue with that. For anyone who's kind of not really familiar with some of the 3D terms, so UV mapping is this right here, as you can see, is a series of dots. And all those dots show up here laid out flat. And then they show up flat on these pictures here. And so, like for instance, what's this row right here? Let me find a good piece of mesh here. All right, so right here, this row here, right, with all these little circles on it, that row is right here. And so when I highlight everything, is that where those are? That's odd because those circles are right there. Oh, unless that's from the normal map. Yeah, that's probably where those are from. The actual texture, yeah, the color values is coming through right there. We're like, I'm gonna find something very recognizable. I mean, these circles in here, you know, like there's that circle there, and then you can sort of see on the 2D texture right here what that looks like, right? I want to project this picture here. I want to put it on this mesh. And so the UV unwrapping is how do I take this and flatten it out like this to actually put on a texture. And now the person who did these textures was really good because you can see from this image right here, there's a lot of detail in here. And they probably UV unwrapped this first and did a ton of texture painting directly on the 3D mesh. And then they baked that out into a 2x2 or a 1x1 texture here. This is probably 2K by 2K, if I had to guess. But or like here on the chest, right? You got like all this stuff over here, right? That's this stuff there, the way it shows up. And then just to kind of go back into the materials here, you got a few different maps. You've got your color map, which is literally just your colors. As you can see right there, this is nothing but the colors that come through. And then you have your ambient occlusion. Ambient occlusion, as you can sort of see here, just adds darkness where vertices are close together. So it looks like shadows, but really it's just texture. You can actually see here the actual AO texture. All it is just black and white stuff. And it's sort of a way to fake shadows in all situations. And it just kind of helps it look better. Because, like for instance, if I just take the material here and I wanted to mute the ambient occlusion, if I just wanted to mute the ambient occlusion, it'd look like this. But if I unmute it, it looks like that. You can sort of see how the ambient occlusion, I mean, it literally adds a ton of shape. And then the metallic here tells Blender what is metallic and what isn't. White is the metallic stuff, black is non-metallic. So you can see here like the leather belts should not be shining like metal, but the metal should be shining like metal. And even like you can sort of see here like where it's a little grummy right there. That's where, you have like rust setting in, and rust itself is not metallic. It has a high roughness value, which kind of leads to here. This is your roughness. So black is basically stuff that's shiny, and white is basically stuff that is not shiny. And the more kind of grummy your values are here, where it looks like it's very splotchy here, that's how you get a lot of that. You can see part of it shiny and part of it has crud and stuff on it, rust and whatnot. And then a normal map looks like this. Basically, a normal map is a way to fake depth. So like right here, this is all 2D right here, right? You know, those little squares that you see in there, none of that is in the 3D mesh. If you actually look at the 3D mesh here, it's just flat squares, right? Or triangles, I mean, that kind of form squares. It's totally flat. But because of the normal map, which basically converts your red, blue, and green into distance values. And so it makes it so that, like, you know, blue is your x-axis or z-axis, y is your green, and red is your x. And so it can kind of fake how things move and how light reflects in that area so that it looks like there's actually, you know, a little grill grate right there, but in reality it's just a flat texture on there that the 3D software is interpolating to look more real. And then here we have just the kind of last thing, the emissive, and really all that's doing is making the eyes and stuff glow. I don't think there's anything else emissive on him. So yeah, I'm just going to delete this second gun here and reset his arm back to its original position there. All right, what else needs rigging here? The one thing I'm nervous about this because I'm not as good at this kind of rigging. All right, I can rotate, you know, a shoulder, but when I start adding bones in here is when it starts messing me up. So this is what a bone looks like in Blender. You can make it look a few different ways as well. I might, just for the sake of this, make this bone a stick. Okay, so I need to rotate this 180. I'm just going to hide all the stuff I don't need to worry about. Look, there's an issue on the leg there. I need to fix that. Whatever that is. I'll get to it in a bit. All right, where'd that bone go? Here it is. Then in front. There we go. All right. Thank you, Christopher Hogstead. It's a great IG-88 model. I can actually show y'all where I found it. Yeah, I'll just do that right here. IG-88. Yeah, so it's this model right here, $10. One thing I didn't really love is that it didn't have any rig on it, which is obviously what I'm doing now. But the actual model itself looks great. Post-processing is a little nuts on there, but yeah, you can see this is how the model looks here in Sketchfab, and it's just $10 here. If anyone wanted to get it yourself, there are other IG-88 models on here. I don't think these are rigged either. No, there's this one right here, which is a lot more low poly. And then there's a few ones that are here for 3D printing, a few that aren't even available for download. And this one right here used to actually be downloadable. Its textures are a little lower resolution, which is why I didn't get this one. But I think this used to be available for download. But I guess the creator took it down. Unless, no, this is why it's not downloadable. It's because this is the exact same model as the one that's for sale. Wait, is this the same actual artist, the alias Haysom? It is. Okay, never mind. That was just a pose for it. I wonder why. I was able to pose IG-88 here. And then here he actually posed it all. How did he pose the knee? Oh, so there actually is a little, that was not very present in the model I saw. Yeah, I really wish this would be, yeah, it just kind of bends around the corner there. Have to do that with some kind of bone, I bet. Huh. Wonder why he didn't put this for sale, or she, or whoever this is. Interesting. Well, let me see here. Actually, what's the origin of this? Yeah, it's a very detailed IG-88 model. Very detailed indeed. I'm very pleased with my purchase here. Turned out wonderful. All right, so let me see here. I'm going to take this and bring that to here. And if this doesn't turn out great the first time, y'all be patient with me. I'm going to try and make it look as good as possible. Thankfully, because this is a droid, it doesn't have to be crazy detailed. Yeah, that's right, Zoda. They were trying to challenge me. They wanted me to figure this out for myself. And figure it out myself, I will try. Alright, so I can actually just hide the shoulder and hand stuff there, because none of that's really necessary for this. In that case, I might actually move this over some. Just to make it a little bit more centered. Actually, I might just do that. GZ. Then here, make sure something happened there that I was not looking for. Oh, let me fix that. I always should not have done it that way. Okay. Now that's about as centered as it's going to be. Center that up as best I can. And then I'm going to take this end and put that there. Alright, now comes the hard part. I got to take this arm, I got to parent it to there. Bone waiting, find a variant solution for one or more bones. Awesome. Wow, okay. That's disappointing. That's very disappointing. Okay. How much detail will go into the animation? So the model here, this is pretty much how it's going to look. I'm using right now, this is just the preview in Blender. I don't actually think I have any lights in here. But I think I can actually turn cycles on. So Eevee is their previewer, and this is the actual renderer. Now the lighting is totally different. Actually, I can, yeah. So this is cycles. Cycles takes a little longer to render because it's sample by sample, using a path tracing mechanism. And then here is Eevee. So Eevee is a lot faster, and it looks better initially, but Cycles, when you actually wait for it to render and denoise and all that, you get a lot more detail. Yeah, Lebo, I haven't started working on his model yet in terms of the rig and stuff, but yeah, this is a little out of my area of expertise. I might actually, did I actually put the bone in here? Is the bone still there? Honestly, I might just delete this bone here and not fool with the arms right now. It's just going to be too much of a hassle, I think, and I don't really need any of that for at least this part of the previs. So, but I'm pretty happy with how everything else turned out. Let me just make sure I have everything parented right. Oh my! So something here from the other leg wound up on this leg. Don't know how that happened. Which is Alt-R. No, I don't want to make vertex parent. What? I'm in edit mode, right? P, that's right, just separate. And then I'm going to take that, and I'm just going to join it. There we go. Okay. Thanks, Christopher. And yeah, Zoda, yeah, boning a model is very, very challenging. I am not really an expert at rigging. I know the basics, and I've done some before on different things. But that's one of the reasons why for this, for all the human characters, I really want to go with pre-rigged characters and using tools like MetaHuman and stuff like that, and AccuRig, that's another good one because it does all that stuff for you. But for droids, it's a little different because you have to be kind of particular about the way they move. All right, let me just double check the actual kind of separation of stuff here. Oh, that's origin is all the way up there. That's not where it's supposed to be. Oh yeah, I wanted to check anyways. Huh. So it looks like in the one fan art that the person who made this, that they actually added something down here for the knees to bend, which is very odd. But for me, all I can do right now, without having to do any additional modeling, is just focus on this. Yeah, that's what I was saying, Zoda. The model makers here in their fan art, where they actually had it, or not fan art, well, it is fan art, but they made the model here. They added these little knee joints in there, and then they might just be copying the same mesh as the elbows and then just scaling them differently. And it may not even be that there's a rig here, but that they just like posed it in one pose like that. Yeah, that might be what I need to do. Though, I mean, for this scene here, his legs don't even get shown, so it's not really even gonna be relevant for this scene. But I guess for now, I'll just kind of get that settled there. Yes. Okay. Let's check the shoulders. And the lower arm here. that's parented correctly. The wrist. Oh. Why is this origin point all the way up there? I'm pretty sure I already set that. Jackson, yeah, so the Dash Rendar model. I've tried a few different things with MetaHuman, but I've kind of gotten a little bit frustrated with the looks. And what I mean by that is, like, I was getting frustrated with how I was designing it, because I would do a design, put a bunch of work into it, and then the way it came out was just not the way I was wanting. And so I kind of started over, and I've done that a few times now. And I might just have to do it like kind of the brute force way with MetaHuman, where you just kind of model it yourself in there using their various slider and grip tools. MetaHuman's a pretty cool program. One of the things that's kind of challenging is clothing, though. And with Dash Rendar, his outfit is like, 50% of his look. So I definitely wanted to kind of do those things simultaneously, though I'm not very good at making clothes either. So that's kind of something I'm learning how to do along the way here. But I am, very much so looking forward to kind of how that turns out. The early sculpt that I did, that I've shown in a lot of my progress update videos, that's more or less just kind of like a design that I'm going for. But take all the failed models of Dash as background characters. That would actually be kind of funny. Yeah, I might actually do that, Zoda. But anyways, yeah, so so that's just kind of the design that I really want to go for, is using the sculpt that I did. It's very close to how it looks in the game. But speaking of which, I actually have cast Dash Rendar just in the last few days here. So I've been very happy with the voice there for the performance driver. I think y'all are really going to like him too. And I've cast Guri as well. So she is, her voice is great. It's like perfect for that character. So she's going to start recording her lines fairly soon. All right, so IG-88 here, I think he's as good as he's going to get in terms of his rig. So let's go back to our previs file here. So that's the IG-2000. So I'm just going to delete this old one here because he doesn't have any rig on him. Thank you, Jackson. I appreciate your confidence. There's actually a few tools that I've seen that would be like a dream for making clothes for Dash Rendar and other characters as well, that are really really close with metahumans and really easy to rig with them. But all of them are subscription services, so I'm kind of hoping to, once I get the channel monetized and make a little bit more money with it, to actually be able to, afford to pay for those kind of subscription services to help me to actually make those things at a quality that I'm happy with. All right, so there's that. And then the cockpit model here, I'm actually just going to delete that one because it's all pink, and who wants pink? Admiral Zoda, so Guri is actually a voice actress. I'm not actually going to be using any AI for Guri, mainly because, there we go. Mainly because I just think that a voice actress can do a much better job. And in addition to that, if I was going to try to clone samples from the game, it would have a ton of music in it and be very difficult to separate. And it's only a few seconds of dialogue. So I didn't want to clone the voice from the game. Though the voice actress who's voicing her actually sounded fairly similar to the one in the game. I'm sure she was using that as reference, but yeah, she's a very stellar voice actress for that role. So very happy with how she's sounded in her auditions, and I'm going to be sending her all of her lines probably sometime in the next few days here, because I already have pretty much all of her stuff ready for that, because I was kind of getting all that stuff ready and hoping that I would get a good actress, and then she showed up and I pretty much had it all done, so I just need to kind of review that and send it to her. All right, so we're here in the previs file here. And for this, this is shot 20, not chronologically, but just the 20th shot that I've done for it. And don't actually need the IG-2000 for this one, and don't need Tatooine either. So I have IG-88 here, and then why do I have two IG-2000s? Oh, that's supposed to say cockpit. There we go. Yes, Arthur Gurry. I know she's one of your favorite characters, and yeah, her voice actress is everything you want and more. And the model for Gurry, I've gone back and forth on a few different sort of designs that I want for Gurry. I might just make it purely just within the MetaHuman character creator. But I was also thinking of kind of basing it on some people. Let me know what y'all think here in just a live stream. I'll just bounce these thoughts on you. But I was kind of thinking of basing her appearance on Florence Pugh. That's maybe not the best one right there. But Florence Pugh right here already appears pretty similar to the artwork that Gurry is depicted with. And she's a great actress on her own as well. But I think that her facial structure here really would fit a character like Gurry. And so let me know what y'all think of that idea. You know, I'm not tied to that idea, but I definitely think it would be an interesting proposition there. And there's actually I saw this here on Sketchfab. That wow. What is it? I know, I think it had yeah, thanks Arthur. Yeah, I'm pumped too. That was literally just in the last couple of days here, and you know, that was a character I was pretty worried about finding because I know not looking for Wednesday Addams here, but yeah, I was really worried about finding that because I'd had a ton of guys message me about wanting to be voice actors, but I've had 0 females except for this Gurry voice actress. So I'm trying to see here, where is? I know it was on this page, CG stuff. They post a lot of like really hyper realistic female character models. Yeah, Zoda, not with that haircut. I don't know what Florence Pugh was thinking with this haircut. Definitely not her best look. You know, something more like this would probably be more fitting for a character like Gurry. But I think that her kind of facial structure and all that is a pretty good match. But all right, where is it? Florence Pugh. Oh, here we go. So this is kind of a model based on her Black Widow appearance. So I would be kind of just ditching the outfit entirely, but like here's a pretty good 3D model with her face. I was thinking of using this 3D model as a base for her metahuman appearance. Let me just turn off the, that's just her static pose. Why is she posed like that? And it's not really a T pose, but I think this would be a pretty good facial structure here for the Guri character. I'd have to pay for this model if I wanted to really use this face as the base for the metahuman model of Guri, but and of course I would change the hairstyle and all that sort of stuff. But anyways, yeah, that was just a thought that I'd had. All right, back here, let's at least try and get through one shot before I wrap out the live stream. The IG-88 rigging thing took a lot more time than I thought it would. So I'm just going to copy all of this here, previs shot 20, and probably going to take a moment to load in. That's the one with the old rig on it as well. All right, and then IG-88. Where are you? All right. All right, so obviously the scale of these two things is pretty different, but once we get him in his chair here, scale maybe 10. Yeah, that's a good scale difference, I think. Oh, that's the glass I'm selecting. I'm just going to hide everything but the chair real fast just so I can kind of get him positioned in there. The scale of that might actually be just a little bit too big. How many of the bounty hunters have I cast? So I've actually cast, I think I've cast Zuckus, Forlom, Furlag, the new bounty hunter who joins Shadows of the Empire and then leaves fairly quickly. And then I've cast, I think I cast as a Bosk. I can't remember if I actually cast a Bosk. I think I did. I know that probably sounds very weird. I think I cast a Bosk, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I think I cast one. I'm not entirely sure. I know I talked to someone about it, but I can't remember if I'd actually finalized that or not. But anyways, and then I've also cast IG-88. Have a really good voice actor for that. What you heard in the trailer was actually some lines that he had recorded. So those were actually ripped from the game. He recorded those, and the voice actor for IG-88 also is doing a lot of the sound effects and design and stuff. And hello, everybody, Master Luke. This is our C-3PO, actually, for the project. And Akbar, too, right? Right, Master Luke? I think. I'm sorry if I'm getting that mixed up. I've been talking with 100 voice actors in the last couple weeks. But yeah, I know. I remember at least that you were going to be C-3PO. I'm definitely looking forward to getting those lines finally sent to you, and hearing back and all of that. All right, so let's add a camera in here, and then (8:16) in this shot. Oh, why am I in the cockpit? Oh man. All right, I messed up. So that's so weird. In previs shot 20, I have this. And then, yes, Arthur, that is a scene that I am very much so looking forward to as well. And there's actually a really cool foreshadowing of that in the Westing Games Shadows of the Empire Sourcebook. It's called Droids Can't Fly, and it's like, what is it? It's like when the rebels are still at their rendezvous, and Luke is, still kind of recovering, and R2 and 3PO are in the Falcon, and R2 is talking about wanting to fly, and 3PO is telling him that droids don't fly. And so, cool foreshadowing there. And then of course, I already kind of sort of did a shot of that. The actual line of 3PO saying, "Oh no." That was actually, I just pulled that from the Lego Star Wars game. You can find all the lines ripped from the game on YouTube, and so I just kind of cut out a little snippet there and threw that in. But Master Luke, 1986, he is his C-3PO impression is really, really good. So I'm looking forward to hearing all those lines. I still need to get him all the lines from Shadows of the Empire for that. So he's waiting on me right now, but I'm going to get that done as soon as possible. All right, so here we have IG-88. Yep, right there. And so we are going to be recreating the Gaul Spaceport level. Actually, one of the guys from, let me see here. So one of the guys from, he's in my Discord. He sent me this, and I had already added this to this playlist. His name's Gumagai. I think that's how you pronounce it, Gumagai. So I actually have this playlist right here. It's all of the Expanded Universe Legends, if you call it that. All of the Expanded Universe media available here on YouTube. So I have some of this Old Republic stuff, including the SWTOR shorts. And then I've got some of my stuff in here, like the opening crawls for Darth Bane, Everest Productions, Darth Plagueis, and Maul Endgame is in there, as well as the micro series and some of these unfinished Clone Wars episodes, and all the way through, Labyrinth of Evil scene from Everest Productions there, and droids, some droid stuff, Assault at Dara 4. This is actually from the radio drama for Empire Strikes Back. They used the audio from that for this new scene that was made just for the audio drama there. And then Shadows of the Empire here. Yep, got the trailer. And then Gumagai, he actually did these really cool machinimas in movie duels, which recreate the scenes from the game, just kind of as cinematics instead of, 40-minute gameplays per level. And this scene right here from Mr. Sunday Movies is actually based on the prologue from Shadows of the Empire. It's more kind of like a comic book art style. There's not really a whole lot of animation outside of some kind of motion graphics and stuff. But one of the things that he kind of proposed was in the Ord Mantell, or the Gaul spaceport here, he actually takes this level and kind of like speeds up, him walking through the canyons and stuff. But once he gets to Boba Fett here and fights,
Hand over solo before.
Things that's pretty cool is Boba Fett flies away in slow.
Not worth the ammo, eh? Well, I hope that gave your precious ship.
And I think this model is from Galaxy of Heroes, if I'm not mistaken. And
where's he landing?
Yes, he's just talking to Lebo there. Let's see, where is he actually fly away?
Not worth the ammo, eh? Ash.
Yeah, and then he kind of just talks with Lebo about getting Luke and all of them there. I got a few other things in here, like someone did some toy stop motion for Shadows of the Empire with issue 1 and issue 2. They kind of just adapted the comic. They didn't really do anything that was in the novel or game outside of these, but I kind of have these in here as a sort of temporary thing, just because I know like it's going to take me some time to get all of this done. So I've got my stuff in here, but and eventually I do kind of want to replace some of this stuff. But right now, I mean, this is, some pretty solid stuff. So if you kind of want a little advance on the Shadows of the Empire story in, movie duels, machinimas, and toy stop motion, in addition to the previs and animatic work that I've done here, you can look through all of this here. I mean, right here from Shadows of the Empire opening crawl all the way through the Skyhook battle from Guy here. You can watch all of that. And then I've got some more stuff here, like, obviously all the Heir to the Empire stuff and Dark Empire. And then I have Jedi Academy crawl, Legacy crawl, and then this Star Wars Legacy of the Force fan film, which takes the climax of Invincible and kind of does that as a live action fan film. Pretty well produced. But yeah, so this playlist, you can find it on my channel page, has all of the EU stuff that I've been able to gather and aggregate as fan films here. So look at that if you're interested in watching any of that stuff. All right, so IG-88 here. This was, I think it was 71 frames, was how long I needed this to be. And I think, so unhide everything here. Yes. Do I want it to be centered? Yeah, I wanted to put them on the center, not the thirds. Oh, don't want to rotate the chair, just the camera. All right, maybe lower this just a little bit. Is the camera in the glass? It sure is. Hide the glass there. And then I kind of want to tilt up just a little bit. What in the world? Select the camera. Tilt up just a little bit. Put his eyes right there on the thirds line. All right, so there's kind of the basic shot there. I wonder if I actually kind of how to light this. Oh, I want to light this. And then I might, for the actual final shot here, do a little more texture work on the back here, or at least kind of give it a little more color, even if it's a bit dark. But I think, yeah, that's a good end frame there. So I'm just going to set the camera, location, rotation, come to the back. Yeah, Corey, CT9994 there, he'd actually sent me those Guy clips as well. I think that's actually how I discovered them, was actually him sending those to me. So, appreciate the direction there, Corey. Appreciated it. Yeah. Oh, thank you. And all right. How much movement is that? Very little. Okay. Don't really want to go much wider, so I might go in just a little more. And then add the keyframe. And I might stop. So just kind of a slow push in here. And then just to kind of keep this from being so static, let's add a little bit of eye animation here. So we can start there. And then maybe on frame 20, I'll have him look down some. Then look back up. And then let's have him look side to side a little bit too. So we'll have him maybe start there, and then let's rotate that way some. Yeah, that's probably good. And then just to add a little arm movement here, we'll start rotation, rotation, and then maybe on this one around frame 40, I'll go down a little. On this one on frame, let's just say 30, go down a little. And then maybe on 60, I'll have this one come back up some. And then on the final frame, I'll have this arm come back up a little bit. See how that looks. Wow, Master Luke, first Shadows of the Empire novel? That is, that's your first Star Wars novel. I think my first Star Wars novel, for including young readers' books, it was probably one of the Young Boba Fett reader series. But my first full-length novel that I read, I think, was Darth Plagueis. I think the Thrawn trilogy was the first kind of post-Return of the Jedi era stuff I'd ever read. Did it crash? Oh no. Are y'all seeing a crash? If y'all can still hear me. Oh man. Oh, Blender crash. No, Blender didn't crash. It was just doing that for a moment. But for some reason, I can't seem to access it. Oh, here we go. Live stream. There we go. All right. Yeah, Thrawn Trilogy was the first post-Return of the Jedi era kind of stuff I read. But Shadows of the Empire, I think, was the first thing I read after I finished the Thrawn Trilogy. Yeah. All right, let's check this shot here. All right, let's add a little bit of neck motion. probably change some of this for the final animation just because right now I'm just kind of spitballing here, but for the actual final shot. Yeah, Jedi Academy was pretty good. I read that. I think I read the Thrawn trilogy, and then I read Shadows of the Empire, and then I read Jedi Academy. And yeah, I definitely do not regret doing it that way. It was a pretty good way to read, and just play around with this. Han Solo trilogy, yep, that's great. Was it the Brian Daley one or the A.C. Crispin one? I kind of read those together just because I knew that there were literal page breaks in the middle of the chapters where the Brian Daley books take place. And so I knew that that was kind of the way I wanted to do it. Let's see here, making sure the head stuff. Why does it seem like it's a little late? Crispin, got it. Yeah, reading those kind of together, I think for me that was probably the best way to do it, just because I really like doing stuff that way. I read I-Jedi and the Jedi Academy trilogy the same way. And the second time, I read Jedi Academy trilogy first, and then the second time I read it, I was like, I have to read this chronologically with I-Jedi, and I definitely do not regret that. Yeah, Courtship of Princess Leia is pretty great. And that one, like, I read the X-Wing books, and then when I finished Wraith Squadron, I started reading Courtship, and I realized, like, literally the end of Wraith Squadron is Han Solo jumping back to Coruscant, and then the beginning of Courtship is Han Solo in hyperspace about to arrive on Coruscant. Like, I really, really liked reading it that way. I mean, I really enjoy chronological reading with that sort of stuff anyways, but like, for instance, with the Zahn books, like usually the release order is better, even if the timeline is out of order. But, you know, with those two, like I would always recommend people like read all 7 X-Wing books and then go straight into Courtship. Like, oh yeah, what a man, Han Solo. C-3PO. Hey, do you want to sing that, Master Luke? do it in your C-3PO voice. Oh man. All right, we're back at it here. Let's just see. How's that looking? Might add a little bit of torso movement too. Very slight. Yeah, that was I kind of agree with you there, Admiral Zoda. The sort of the Clone Wars Dathomir lore, like it changed a lot of the stuff sort of from the way that it was depicted in Courtship, and then again kind of in Young Jedi Knights when it showed up again. Like, I don't know. I mean, everybody has their preferences, I guess, but you know, I definitely prefer the way that David Wolverton kind of conceived of Dathomir and the witches and different clans and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, I mean, TCW's canonicity to the EU has been hotly debated. I'm not going to go through a debate like that here, but I know in my Discord, people talk about that pretty frequently. There's a few TCW fans in there, and there's a few non-TCW fans in there. I watched TCW before ever reading any of those the EU books outside of the Young Boba Fett series, which I'd read as a kid. But all right, what do y'all think of this shot? Sorry, I keep breaking my thoughts and starting new ones, but trying to stay focused here. While I'm waiting on y'all's responses, Master Luke, definitely one of the things that's kind of, I guess, challenging with the X-Wing books is that there's just a lot of characters, just because it's a pretty large cast. And but I really liked Cornhorn and Wedge. I think Wedge definitely shines best I think, as like a really strong supporting role, kind of like how he did in Jedi Academy and I-Jedi. And I really liked him in what was it? The Hand of Thrawn duology. Really liked Wedge in that as well. And I agree, like whenever he's the lead man of a whole book, like, you know, it's a little harder for him to carry stuff, but yeah, Corrin I really liked. I really liked Oral. Gans are one of my favorite alien species in Star Wars. Really love Zuckuss. Really love him. Really love going to the Gand bar in what was it, KOTOR 2, I think. Yeah. Is he smooth or jerky? It looks a little bit smooth. Just for a previs, I think kind of works there. Yeah, I mean, droids, their servos can kind of move. However, I think that for the final animation, I might make it a little bit more, it moves smooth and stops and is still, and then it moves smooth again. But I think just for this shot, I might keep it as is, just to kind of keep things moving. And it's a short shot here, so, but I'll probably tweak the animation a little bit for the final render. And like I said, I'll be, this isn't lighting, this isn't, the final background texture that I want to do either, but and I might just for, this here, let me add some ambient occlusion, screen space reflections, and I might keep the motion blur off just for this high bit depth shadows. And then my camera settings, just to kind of make it look slightly better for the previs, I'm going to add some depth of field here. Does he still have, I can't remember if I hit it or not. Yes, okay. There's still an empty there. So that's the empty I'm going to use to track for the depth of field here. Oh, which empty is that? I think it's this one. Oh no, that's MT02. Okay. There we go. And then when I turn it on, boom. Yeah, the S-curve animation never looks as good as something that's more, it doesn't need to be all kind of jerky and stuff, but it's kind of weird. Why is it, how low do I need to go to get blur in the background? That's definitely too much, I think. I can't really tell a huge difference with it on and off. Why is that? Did I select the right empty? I think I did. No, definitely. Your input there is definitely valuable. Droids are definitely a lot more, staccato kind of in their movement. So, that's definitely something to think about and take into consideration. Yeah, just add a little bit of depth of field there. Doesn't need to be too much. And then I might actually, for my world settings here, go to environment texture, H2 rise, and then if I come here and use scene world, it's weird, but it's the same. Ah, the blur on it, okay. That's what it was. Why is it so much brighter? It's the same HDRI. Huh. Well, I might just bring the strength down some. It's a little bit darker in there. And then I'm going to come over to these screens here and make those. I might actually add a, let me see here. That doesn't really matter all that much. Now do it. Just make it look a little bit more like the sun's on there. Yeah, the Nintendo 64 fight was definitely pretty difficult. I always play on PC just because I think it's, even though the PC controls are a little bit clunkier compared to a controller, I do think that there is a benefit in using PC as opposed to the Nintendo 64. And I mean, I prefer the 3D cutscenes myself, but yeah, that fight was hard. It took me many tries to beat that droid, especially when I ran out of all my special ammo, and used it all up. I basically had to redo the whole Ord Mantell level because of that. Ain't that something? Okay, so no, that's not what I wanted to select. Where is my light? There we go. Sun lamp. Oh, well, no wonder. All right. Yeah. Nintendo 64. Definitely a more of a nostalgia platform than anything else. I mean, a lot of the games on it were pretty cool, but the actual controls themselves aren't the best. I really wish they would port this game to Switch. That's pretty much what I do any gaming on, and outside of PC. And I think that Shadows of the Empire would work really well on Switch. And in fact, like Jedi Outcast and Jedi Academy and Republic Commando and both KOTOR games, you can play those on Switch. They have you can get them digital or buy game cards and stuff because those games have been ported to Switch, but Shadows of the Empire hasn't yet been ported yet, even though it's weird. They did this whole big thing many years ago where they were like, well, it's only like 2 years ago, I think, where they like part of their subscription service that they have, NSO, that's what it's called. You have access to like all these NES games and SNES games and Nintendo 64 games. Like you can play Ocarina of Time on there and stuff like that. But and GoldenEye even. But one of the few games they left out was Shadows of the Empire, which is like was probably one of their top 10 most popular games on Nintendo 64, and yet that was one of the ones that they just didn't have ported over, unfortunately. All right, I think I'm not going to spend too much time on the lighting here just because I know I'm only going to be using this for previs. Yeah, a little shadow across his face there. There's twin suns there. When I was a kid, a lot of the stuff I played was on GameCube. Probably my favorite Star Wars game I played on that was Bounty Hunter. But Lego Star Wars was pretty good too, as well as what was the other game on there? I can't remember. I played a lot of games on GameCube, but Bounty Hunter was definitely my favorite one. And still to this day is probably my favorite game, just because the gameplay is so fun and the story is really cool and all that sort of stuff. I think I'm going to call it there for this shot. And then the way that I render this stuff out, just for previs here, let me actually make that 24 FPS. Yeah, there we go. As I set my directory here to, yeah, so here we have previs shots, and I'm going to name this one previs 20 underscore, and then after that will just kind of be the frame numbers and stuff. And then I'm going to just set this to FFmpeg video, set it to MPEG-4. And then, yeah, resolution's good, sampling's good. And then I'm actually just going to do a viewport render. Yeah, I'm just going to do a viewport render because otherwise I'm going to have to do too much more finagling to render it more professionally. Yeah, the Battlefront Classic Collection release, oh my gosh, I've seen some horror story clips from that where like you can basically just see like everything except for the game, like all the stuff you don't want to see. And yeah, I have no idea how they fumbled the ball on that so hard, and I mean they marketed it like crazy. I mean the Dark Forces remaster, that seems to be going over pretty well, and so you know it can be done. Right, these games can be ported to modern consoles, but it is what it is, I suppose. All right, so that is done. So let me import that in here. Where is shots? All right. And then previous shots. There we go. And Shadows of the Empire. Shots. Scene 3. Previous shots. Previous 20. There we go. And then I'm just going to bring that in here. Just going to put the old shot up there, new shot here. And now we have, ooh, there we go. So I'm just going to play a little bit of this. Again, if you want to watch the full thing, that is available on Patreon for members of all tiers. And we'll just kind of start here from the top.
Security alarm.
All right. So that is our shot. I was hoping to get a lot more shots done today, but I kept getting distracted. So sorry with all that, y'all. But I hope y'all kind of got to see a cool little insight into the workflow here. We at least got one shot done tonight, and got a lot of work done in the rigging on IG-88, and got all the materials done for the interior there of the cockpit. I'll probably modify those some, darken them and give them a little bit more sheen and metalness and that sort of stuff. But I'm happy with how that one shot turned out and how everything looked. Again, if you want to see that shot, the previs, you can find that here on Patreon. This was posted on April 27th. So it's been out for about a month now. You can watch the whole thing here on Patreon. And then additionally, if you want to see the Shadows of the Empire models, where is it? I had it here. Yep. So I have here just on my Sketchfab here, you can see a lot of the different models I have here. I'm probably not going to use most of these. A lot of the ones you have to buy, and I'm definitely not going to be able to afford to buy every single model in here. But there's plenty of free ones too. So if you all do any kind of 3D model work yourself, 3D art, 3D printing, whatsoever, you can find a bunch of stuff here. And like I mentioned before, I am very close to being monetized. So if you would like to see that happen sooner rather than later, please just come to my channel here and just go through all these videos, watch as many as interest you. Don't force yourself to watch anything you don't care to watch. But yeah, and the project's coming together. Like I said, voice acting is very close to being 100% complete, and getting very close to being monetized there. Literally, once I hit that, I can really dedicate almost all of my time towards this project, and that's definitely going to accelerate the timeline of things. And So yeah, and one last thing I kind of want to show you here. So where I have the edit here, I also have the whole multimedia project in one big package here. You can actually see right now there's about 11 hours and 53 minutes. Now, some of that is I have the unabridged fan-made audiobook. So a lot of that is just the prose. You can kind of see over here, not really whittled down quite. And then, kind of the motion comics and some of the artwork stuff here, different scenes. And, I'm kind of laying in the voice acting and, kind of with the comics, kind of figuring out which panels I want to use. And yeah, so things are coming together. And thank you all for watching. It's been almost 3 hours now. Wow. So thank you all for watching. Those of you who've been here the whole time, if you're just joining or if you're watching after the fact, I appreciate every minute. And all right, you all have a wonderful rest of your week. And I'll try to be doing a live stream like this at least once a week. Tuesday evenings is probably what I'm looking at. If not, I'll probably do it on a Monday or Wednesday. But so thank you all for tuning in, and until next time.